Welcome back to 843 TV. We're excited to be out on location, and we are in Okatie at the Osprey Village Thrift Shop, which serves a very important group of people. And we're going to be speaking with Elizabeth Kronsted, now the program manager. Nice to meet you today.
Nice to meet you too.
Let's talk about your history here, how long you've been involved, and what you do.
I've been involved a little over 3 years. So I started out as a simple respite provider, and then I became the respite coordinator. So I helped coordinate all the different respite that we provided. Then I became the programs manager. So I worked not only the respite side, but I also did the employment side. And then I became programs manager. So I run not only those two programs, but I also work with dealing with the community and working with our new residential program we're going to have started up, as well as dealing with the government and other sides of things.
So there's a lot involved, it sounds like.
Yes.
Tell, for those who are not very familiar, your consumers, we were talking about, what group of people are those?
They're intellectual and developmental disabilities people. They're adults. So a lot of times they can be anywhere from 21. We have those that are in their 50s and 60s now that we work with. Mm-hmm. So their parents are older and they're aging. So that means at some point they're going to pass, unfortunately, and our people aren't going to have anybody to take care of them. Some of them can go to family, but other ones will become wards of the state. So we want to be able to provide a place for them to not only learn the skills that they need to learn to be able to survive on their own, but also have that place for them to go so that they can live independently.
Wonderful. This is wonderful services that you provide. What are some of the things that they do during the day that you help them with, some of the programs that you offer?
So one of our big programs is we do employment. So it's individualized. So instead of going out as a big group, we sit down and find out exactly what they would like to do. And then we work on getting them a job in that field. So if somebody says, I really want to work at a movie theater, then what we do is we go in, we work on the skills that they would need for that, and then we help them apply for and obtain a job at a movie theater. And then they would go from there, and we'd go in, check to make sure everything's going okay. We'd go in there and work with them. And that is one thing that we do during the day. Another thing that we offer is our respite program, which gives rest to the caregivers. And in those programs, we try to instill independent living skills. So that could be something as simple as them being able to go out and communicate with a cashier, hey, this is what I want to order, or going and doing grocery shopping, or learning how to fold our laundry or make a bed or anything like that. So those are just some things that we do during the day.
How many people do you serve at any one given time? Is that an estimate you can kind of put your hands on, or?
We have at least 15 consumers on our books. In a given day with the 3 staff that we have, we can do anywhere from 5 or 6 people. Before the pandemic, we were doing, 6 or 7 a day, just by switching out and grouping up together. Now, that COVID's happened, what we're going to be doing is doing a more one-on-one service. So shorter periods of time with a person, but still trying to do several people in a day.
That makes good sense. Speaking of the pandemic, you've had to obviously adjust how you operate and do things like everyone else. What are some ways that you feel like this might have impacted some of those consumers and so forth?
Well, a lot of our consumers, they can get scared easily. We have a consumer sometimes that doesn't like to wear a mask or are afraid of people in masks. So we have to adjust on that, as well as some of our families are still leery about going out in the public. So we'll be adjusting, working more in the home with them and things like that. So we as a program are going to make sure that we have masks every time we change to a new consumer. We'll change out our masks. We'll also have gloves and hand sanitizer and things like that with us at all times, so that we can use that depending on where we're going.
Sure.
And just trying to ensure that we stay in environments that not only we feel comfortable taking our consumers to, but our consumers and their families feel comfortable them being in.
Yes, absolutely. Do they come in here and work in the shop?
I do have several that come in and work in the shops, and then some that have liked to volunteer here or have volunteered in the past. Some of them just like to come in and look around and shop.
Yeah, Right. That's a great thing to do, too. Now, there's a special project that's been in the works for some time. When we've had a lot of previous shows, we've talked with Chandler and so forth about the land development, which is just down the street from this location.
Correct.
So just the basics of that, just give us a little bit of an overview on where that is right now.
So we have roads out to our land. We are currently working on getting infrastructure in, so water, electricity, internet, things like that run, because that all has to go underground. And we're hoping in about 18 months to start having people living on the land.
Wow. So in 18 months, you estimate there what the housing would be finished to move into?
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Of course, that's hopefully. And we were talking that what's going around that area will be very beneficial for jobs.
Yeah, there'll be grocery stores and some shops. There'll also be a rec center close by. I believe it's Boys and Girls Club, but I'm not totally sure. It might be a YMCA. Mm-hmm. And that'll be an area that they'll be able to go, even maybe potentially just volunteer in some place that they can go and interact with other people. So there'll be not only job opportunities, but also just interaction opportunities.
How does somebody start to get involved? If someone's watching today and they're like, wow, that's my situation, I could use some help. Where do they go? Where is the first step for that parent?
Well, for that parent, they would need to contact their service provider. So that's usually a DDSN service, either Beaufort County, Jasper County, the ARC, any place like that, and see what they have available to get a waiver or anything like that. We do provide some employment service to those who aren't necessarily on a waiver program or can't get on a waiver program. We do independent pay for that, but respite, for the most part, we leave in the waiver program. And they would contact them, find out what services they could get, and then they have the choice of choosing Osprey as a provider.
Now, all of this is free to the consumer. Is that correct?
Yes.
So clearly, it takes a lot of funding to operate everything that you're doing. Can you speak to any of that? What are some of the? I know there's different events throughout the year. What's coming up maybe soon? Do you have anything planned at this point?
Currently, right now, we do not. Because of the fact with COVID has changed a lot of things. We do every year in about October timeframe, we do a golf tournament. And that's usually really big. And then in January, February timeframe, we do our Pro Bowl.
Right. And we learned about that maybe the last time that we were meeting with the folks over at Hilton Head. So the bottom line is you can always use help and funding. So if someone wants to just even say, hey, that's a cause that's touching my heart, they could certainly donate. Donate besides funds, money, of course. Money is definitely needed for big things to bring their merchandise here. What are some other ways that you could use some support?
Just letting us know, like, that you give a certain if you're a company owner and you do stuff that we'd have fun taking our consumers to, just letting us know and giving us a discount, or going in and just saying, hey, if you come here, we'll do something for your consumers or something like that. Our consumers are always looking for something fun to do. They just love to go out and just interact and have fun. We do movie theater trip before the COVID. We did movie theater trips and things like putt-putt, and even just walking around like nature areas. Yeah. So they just enjoy being out.
Of course. And so you, as your role, and you mentioned you go into the community, you kind of talk to businesses, talk to community people that can maybe offer on both ends. They can offer activities for the consumers and also maybe provide some sponsorships or funding, that kind of thing.
Yep.
That's always to be used. Again, I always love talking with you all because it's such a certain mission, and it's one that doesn't get a lot of attention today. And there's also maybe still somewhat of a stigma sometimes surrounding the type of consumers that you use. What are some encouraging words that you might give to people about, the consumers, or how they can just help you out? What are some last words you might share with us in our last 30 seconds?
Well, I turn around and I always tell everybody, you have to treat our consumers just like they're anybody else. that stigmatism that's there that people infer, that's something you kind of have to look past.
Yeah.
And they can do almost anything. They certainly surprise a lot of people. They surprise me all the time. So I always say, look at them like they're a normal person, and then just give them all the love you can give them.
And what an important message for today's time, especially. So I love that. That's a great way to close. And Elizabeth, I thank you for talking with me and talking with Alice. And thank you all for watching this episode of 843 TV, where communities come to speak.